Origin Gens, want to see you reaction. This is Miscellaneous Miss, Enki and Ninmah by the channel Only Sarcastic Production. Yeah, I don't know. Which mythology is this? Is this old American mythology like Aztecs or something? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Thanks to patron Derek Rooker for requesting this myth. It's short, sweet, and utterly ridiculous. TLDR, two gods get drunk and have a people making competition. The one that makes the jankiest dude wins. Okay, that's just stupid. This mythology is just stupid. Every other mythology in the world is clearly just, smart and makes sense. This mythology is stupid. I mean, come on, man. With all the mythologies, especially Greek mythologies, this doesn't even feel that weird, right? Two gods get drunk and have a people making competition. Sure, why not? It's fine. Make sure to pause for an unnecessary in-depth explanation of what a harem actually is. Okay? Remember, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction and date the link in the description. Check out the cards for the different playlists. Check out the end cards, and yeah, let's do this one.
Pretty much every mythos on the planet has at one point attempted to answer baby's first existential question. Where did we come from? Simple on paper, since the answer is typically your parents. But in practice, that simple question opens up a cascade of other questions of increasingly existential complexity. Where did the parents come from? Where did their parents come from? We can extrapolate pretty simply that somewhere along the line there has to have been a first person to be the first parent, so where did they come from? Where did the world come from, and what's our place in it? And why are we like this? Why are some people different from other people, and what is that?
Ooh. This reminds me of, a thing that I used to think, a long time ago when I was a kid. When I really got into science, I used to think this a lot. Like, first of all, this is what I think, obviously. I mean, people can debate it, but infinity only exists in, I guess, mathematics. In real physical world, there is no such thing as infinity. That's what I think. If you just say something is infinite, it's just that you can't count that high. That's just it. Your ability has just, I guess, is now limited. You can't count that high. But in physical world, what does that even mean, infinite? What is just auto-generating? No, it doesn't make sense. So, things have to be finite, however big that is. But then again, the concept of something being finite in itself is scary, which means everything has a beginning. But if everything's finite, doesn't matter how big it is, there will be a point where it will be the first ever thing that ever existed. Where did that come from? I mean, if that's the literal first thing that ever existed, that didn't come from anywhere. So how do you explain that? Now that's scary. With infinity, you can just say it's infinite. Where did that come from? Nowhere. Just, whatever that came before that, it's infinite. But infinite doesn't make sense in real physical world. Finite thing, like I said, is scary. Well, first thing is there, but where that come from? This is where, God, the insert God here thing comes. Like, if everything has a beginning, there has to be a first thing that has no beginning. But that has to be something that is outside of all the laws of physics, because you can't explain it with laws of physics. Then it has to be God or something. You have to think all that. But seriously, that's a scary thought. So I guess this is about something like that, and Ninmah about where did it all come from type of mythology.
That mean? And before we knew about evolution, this was a doozy of a conundrum, all right. Plenty of answers have been proposed. Many myths posit that humans were originally created by some benevolent deities, sculpted from clay or wood or other earthly materials. In some other stories, humans instead arise by accident, a collateral consequence from some divine struggle. Pretty much the only consistent theme is that the creation of humanity is usually pretty quick and simple, even glossed over, because from a world-building angle, it doesn't really need to be complicated. Once you get a couple humans, you usually get more humans pretty quick, so that's really all we need to explain where the rest of the people come from. Not many stories really feel the need to get that much more detailed. But there are exceptions. Today, let's talk about a Sumerian creation myth that goes into extreme detail about the creation of humanity and all that entails. So the story begins shortly.
Yeah. So, back onto the, the point I was making, lots of people just say, like, everybody says, everything has a beginning. Now, the first thing is God, basically. All right, fine. Where did the God come from? And they just have this mic drop moment. First of all, you just said that the first thing is God. I mean, laws of physics doesn't apply to God because you just said that that's a God, big, powerful, magical being. God has no beginning. But then you think, what does that mean? That's not really confusing when you just say that laws of physics doesn't apply to God because that's God. I mean, what is singularity? If you travel at the speed of light, time stops for you. So at that point, what is even time for you? So, concept like that, like God has just been existed forever. Yeah, I mean, laws of physics doesn't apply to God, so God has been there forever. I mean, it makes sense. But obviously, I don't believe in all that. I don't believe in just point blank just saying like I don't have an answer, so that has to be God type of thing. But like I said, when I think about infinity or finite things, like physical world has to be finite, then that question arises, like what is the first thing and why is that a first thing? What's origin of that? Then you say everything's infinite, then that scares me. Like what does that mean? It's auto generating. How do you explain that with laws of physics? It's just weird.
Shortly after the creation of heaven and earth, and the gods are very busy digging canals, dredging clay, and overall really living that glamorous divine life. Well, except for Enki, primordial god of water, who's been napping in his private water dimension the whole time. Enki's mom, Ninmah, hears the gods complaining about Enki slacking off and goes to passive-aggressively slap him awake and convince him to do something about it. Enki wakes up, assesses the situation, draws up some blueprints for something that'll be really good at digging canals, and hands them off to Ninmah, presumably before rolling over and going back to sleep for 5 more minutes. Ninmah, with the help of Enki's design and several other gods, sculpts the first humans out of clay and puts them to work doing all that tough canal stuff. Now that they've discovered the art of delegation, the gods relax and throw a big party. Everyone's super happy with Enki for coming up with this plan, and he's praised for his wisdom and how good he is at deciding everyone's destinies. So Enki parties it up and gets super drunk, and so does his wife Ninmah, goddess of mountains and one of the co-creators of humanity. And pretty soon, Enki and Ninmah are both super plastered and ready to make some questionable decisions. Ninmah's like,
Listen up, you listen. I can do whatever I want, right? I'm a goddess. I can make a dude with whatever fate I want, good or bad.
and Enki's like,
Oh yeah? Well, anything you can do, I can do something other than that. So like, I can make anyone have any fate, no matter what you do. So if you do something bad, I can give him something good. How about that?
So Ninmah grabs a big sloppy handful of that primordial creation clay.
So I guess she's gonna create some people that are not whole or something, like janky, like she said in the description, and he's gonna find a use for them and show that, see, even they're useful or something like that. Is that it?
And starts making dudes willy-nilly. First up, she makes a dude whose hands don't work, and Enki thinks this dude would actually be a perfect addition to the king's court, since what with this whole hand situation, he won't be able to steal the king's stuff, so he's a perfect candidate for a trusted advisor. Next up, Ninmah makes a blind guy, but Enki gives him prodigious...
I guess to be an advisor, anybody can be advisor, but only person who can't steal, so I guess he's perfect. I guess it's not that you need to be smart at certain level. You have to have some form of, I don't know, political mind to be advisor. No.
Just musical skill and puts him in the king's court too. Third up is a guy whose feet don't work, and Enki makes him a skilled silversmith and also a courtier to the king. And I'm not here to sass or judge, but I think Enki might be being a bit uncreative with these good fates. Ninmah should try making someone with a healthy disrespect for authority. See what Enki does about that. Anyway, fourth up, she makes a guy whose dong doesn't work, but Enki dumps a load of magic water over him, which fixes that up real nice. Apparently, Venus doesn't work disease is caused by minor demonic possession. The more you know. Then Ninmah mixes...
Of course it is. I mean, we all know men are perfect. So it has to be demonic possession, right?
Things up a bit and makes an infertile woman. Enki makes her a skilled weaver and puts her in the harem of the queen. Finally, Ninmah creates an
Whoa, I guess that's what she was talking
Enki makes her a
about.
skilled weaver and puts her in the harem of the queen.
Alright. This is your reminder that harem literally just means women's quarters of the household, a private space where the women and pre-pubescent men of the family, specifically the royal family, could hang out in a modest and protected area, often guarded by eunuchs, okay? It originated in Mesopotamia, hence it's used in this myth, and was later adopted into the Islamic world. The sexualized interpretation of popular today was the result of salacious European dudes who concluded that the only reason Muslim women would stay in a private room they weren't allowed into was if they were saving all that hot, exotic loving for their male masters. In practice, it was simply considered socially inappropriate for women to interact with men outside their own husbands and family. So this was limited somewhat by practicality. Yeah, I mean, how you gonna work if that's the case? As many working class women held jobs that put them in contact with the public in general, this also created a space of jobs that needed women to do them for decency reasons, as any situation that involved women's needs would be naturally forbidden to men. A harem was a sign of social status and privilege, as it was indicated that the family was well off enough that the women did not need to work. As a result, women in harem were often of high social status and politically powerful. Okay. So I guess any woman is in harem is just like more of a nobleman club or something, huh? But more modern thing, more modern take of harem is something related to, I guess, what was this actually? What? Yeah, something Europeans made it into, whatever. So yeah.
Finally, Ninmah creates an intersex person who Enki, you guessed it, places in the king's court in some kind of position of honor. The text is both unclear and physically broken in places, so hey, we're doing our best. Side note, this king better be a good boss or Enki's gonna be real disappointed. So, Ninmah's pretty pissed, but Enki's not done yet. He takes the last of the clay and creates a very, very busted up dude named Umul. Umul is what is medically classified as a hot mess, with basically no functional organs. Ninmah tries to talk to him, but Umul is too messed up to understand her.
Medical report came out of him and it just says, what the fuck?
And Ninmah is very frustrated, accusing Enki of making someone neither alive nor dead. Since Ninmah fails to find a way to counterbalance Umul's messed up fate, while Enki was able to guarantee good lives for all her creations, Ninmah loses the competition and Enki is praised as the highest, coolest god around. And so is his dick for some reason. Thanks, Mesopotamia! Anything you can do.
Oh, come on, wait a second. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so Enki and Ninmah, basically, it just, what the description says, two gods got drunk, and I guess Enki was smart in a way because he literally made somebody who's like, not alive or dead, he was just a big mess basically, so he won. But yeah, Ninmah just tried to do more of a smart thing, and Enki was just at the same answer to everything, just put into the king's court, I guess. Yeah. And also about the harem thing. I mean, I didn't know that, there's such thing as, the harem, because I've never heard of that before. But Europeans apparently sexualized that whole concept. But it probably was just that, obviously in Muslim cultures, women are not supposed to talk to anybody else besides your family member and husband. So I guess it was some room for that, for the noble women, like some kind of a private club or room type of thing. Who the hell knows? Yeah. Alright people, that was Miscellaneous, Miss Enki and Ninmah. If you like my Rick, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the Rick Sunday, this is check out the cards, we'll play, check out the end cards, and I'll see you next time.